for 76 AD. The Western Roman Empire ended. Nobody noticed for decades. The most powerful empire in human history didn't end with a battle. Didn't end with an invasion that everyone saw coming. It ended so gradually, so incrementally, that the people living through it thought it was temporary. They kept expecting someone to fix it. Nobody did. And the reason nobody fixed it is the reason you need to watch every second of this. Before we get to the fall, you need to understand what was falling. Because the Rome most people pictured the gladiators, the emperors, the decadence. That was only one part of the story. The Rome that actually changed the world was something far more impressive and far more relevant to your life right now than any movie ever showed you. But here is the question that historians spend entire careers avoiding. We will answer it before this video ends. It will make you uncomfortable. Stay with me. At its absolute peak, the Roman Empire was home to 70 million people across 3 continents. Europe, North Africa, Western Asia, all functioning under one system. 250,000 miles of roads. Many are still used in some form today. The engineering was so precise, the materials so carefully chosen, that 2,000-year-old Roman concrete has been found to be stronger than modern concrete. Aqueducts, delivering 300 gallons of clean water per person per day to Rome. That number, 300 gallones, is more than most modern cities provide to their citizens right now. In 100 AD, a legal system whose core principles form the foundation of every Western legal code operating on Earth today. Presumption of innocence, Rome. Right to face your accuser, Rome. Proportional punishment, Rome. A professional standing army. The first in all of human history that maintained borders across the entire known world. This was not just a military empire. This was the most sophisticated operating system for human civilization that had ever been created. And then, decision by decision, the people running it chose to break it. The first fracture was economic, and it followed a pattern that every collapsing empire before and after Rome has repeated without exception. Rome's economy was built on conquest. Every new territory meant new slaves, cheap labor for agriculture and construction, new resources, new tax revenue. The empire essentially funded itself by getting bigger. When expansion stopped, and it had to stop, the revenue model broke. The military still needed paying. The bureaucracy still needed feeding. The elite class still expected the lifestyle they had grown accustomed to. The solution chosen by successive emperors was to reduce the silver content in Roman coins. What that being, 90% silver denarii, became by 300 AD. To 5% silver coins wrapped in a silver wash that rubbed off in your hands. Inflation followed immediately. Prices in Rome increased 1,000% between 200 and 300 AD. Merchants stopped trusting the currency. Trade contracted. The economic engine that had powered 500 years of Roman dominance was hollowed out in a single century. Not by an enemy, by the Treasury Department. Between 235 and 284 AD, a period historians call the crisis of the 3rd century. The Roman Empire had 26 emperors. 26 emperors. In 50 years, most were assassinated by the very people who had put them in power. The Senate, designed by Rome's founders to provide stability, wisdom, and institutional continuity, had become a factional battleground where powerful families competed for control, using the law as a weapon. Laws were written for the powerful, ignored by the powerful, enforced selectively on the powerless. The institution that was supposed to hold Rome together became the primary mechanism of its destruction. Sound familiar? By the 4th century, the Emperor Diocletian had to split the empire in two, just to make it governable. That was not a solution. That was an admission that the single governing system had failed. The western half would fall within another 200 years. The eastern half, Byzantium, survived another 1,000 years. The difference: institutional stability. Rome stopped trusting Romans to defend Rome. It sounds extreme. It was extreme. But it happened gradually, incrementally, over 200 years. As Roman citizens became less willing to serve in the military as the financial incentives declined with the collapsing currency, Rome increasingly relied on foreign soldiers fighting for pay under Roman command. These soldiers were not Roman. They had no generational loyalty to Roman civilization, no civic identity tied to the empire, no reason to defend what they saw as an employer rather than a homeland. When the pay stopped, they left. When a better offer came, some switched sides. And in 410 AD, when Alaric the Visigoth sacked Rome for the first time in 800 years, he was leading soldiers who had previously served in the Roman army. Rome was sacked by its own former employees. The greatest military in human history was defeated by the mercenaries it had hired to replace itself. The final fracture, and the most fatal, was not economic or political or military. It was psychological. Roman citizens stopped feeling Roman. The shared identity, the civic pride, the belief that being part of Rome meant something worth protecting and perpetuating, began dissolving in the 3rd century and was effectively gone by the 5th. Wealthy Romans retreated to private estates. They stopped investing in public infrastructure, stopped participating in civic institutions, started building private armies for personal protection rather than contributing to the public military. Poor Romans, abandoned by institutions that once provided them with water, bread, entertainment, and legal protection, stopped caring whether the empire survived. Why would you defend a system that had stopped defending you? The civic fabric, the invisible agreement between citizens and their civilization that makes large societies function, dissolved. Nobody felt Rome was theirs to protect. And when Romulus Augustulus, the last Western emperor, was deposed in 476 AD, there was no uprising, no mass resistance, no final stand. Most people barely noticed. An empire of 70 million people ended not with a battle but with a shrug. I want to be precise here. This is not a political argument. This is a historical pattern, and the pattern is visible across every major civilization that has preceded us. Currency debasement and inflation eroding purchasing power and trust. Check. Political institutions designed for the public. Good being captured by factional interests. Check. Military and security increasingly dependent on non-citizen contractors and private forces. Check. A growing gap between those who benefit from the system and those who fund it. Check. Citizens disengaging from civic responsibility, viewing the system as something that happens to them rather than something they own. Check. Shed national identity, fracturing into competing tribal identities. Check. Rome ran through all 6 of these simultaneously in its final 2 centuries. We are not Rome, but we are reading from a very familiar script. But here's the thing about Rome that the collapse narrative obscures. Rome never fully died. The legal principles still govern your rights today. The roads still trace the routes modern highways follow. The architectural principles still define what we consider monumental. The calendar you checked this morning is a modification of the Julian calendar. Roman, reformed once in 1582. Romance languages: French, Spanish, Italian, Portuguese, Romanian, spoken by over 1 billion people, are Latin that never stopped evolving. The Catholic Church, the largest institution on earth, was built on the administrative structure of the Western Roman Empire, the United States Senate. The concept of a republic, checks and balances, innocent until proven guilty. Rome is not in the history books. Rome is in the structure of every institution you interact with today. The empire fell. The code survived. And maybe that is the real legacy of Rome. Not the conquest, not the spectacle, the system. The framework. The idea that civilization is worth organizing and defending. An idea they eventually forgot, that we are in danger of repeating. The people living through Rome's collapse didn't know they were in a collapse. They knew things were difficult. They knew institutions were failing. They knew the system was under pressure, but they assumed it was temporary. cyclical, manageable. Every generation of Romans in the decline period believed the next emperor would fix it. The next reform would save it. The next military victory would restore it. That assumption that the system is too established to actually fail is the most dangerous assumption in all of human history. And it was wrong in Rome. It was wrong in the Maya. It was wrong in every civilization we have covered in this series. History does not care how long you have been here. It only cares what you decide to do next. From the first temple at Gagalitippi, to the Hanging Gardens of Babylon, to the jungle kings of the Maya, to the eagles of Rome, every civilization we have explored left the same warning. They all thought they were different. They all thought they were too advanced. They all thought the patterns of the past didn't apply to them. They were all wrong. The full Lost Civilizations playlist is linked below. Every episode, every warning. Subscribe to Empire Shadows, New Civilization, every week. And share this with one person who still thinks history is just the past. It isn't. It's a mirror. And right now, it's showing us something we need to see.